Good evening and welcome to episode 29 of Swinging from the Hip. We are expecting a couple of guests to pop in yet, but they haven't as yet. So I'll give you a bit of a heads up on what's happening so far in the show today. So far, we've only just started. But anyway, a bit of a repeat from last week with a slight tweak today. We'll be looking at the Plunket Shield and seeing where we're actually there. We'll have a look at some early season injury problems for the Black Caps. We'll have a look at some interesting moments out of that Plunket Shield. We'll look forward to the IPL final, which will be between the Mumbai Indians and Delhi Capitals. And finally, we'll also look at the, Pakistan wrapped up the ODIs with Zimbabwe and moved on to T20s. So we'll see what's happening there. And we should be having Taz joining us there to just give us an update on how that series has been going along. We'll look at those ODIs that we missed out on last week as well. And just to start the day off, here we go. We've got Taz joining us, so I'll just bring Taz in. Adam to the screen. And here he is. Good evening, Taz.
Hey, how's it going?
I better put my headset on now that I've got someone to talk to. I better hear them. How you doing?
Good. Thank you. How are you?
No, not too bad. Going along quite nicely. Hopefully we might even have Sharubin here so we can get him to talk about the Delhi Capitals and what they're going to do.
Yeah, awesome. That would be good.
But it's great to have you here because you can tell us how Pakistan and Zimbabwe's been going.
Yeah.
Hey, look, before we get into the topics of today, just going to throw a question out to you. I had a video actually pop up earlier this afternoon that showed an interesting scenario. So here's the scenario. So there's a question out there for the viewers, and put your comments in there on what you think should have happened. The bowler, there's a medium pacer. He bowls, and the ball travels above waist high and effectively lands on top of off stump. Is the batter out?
Okay. Now, in my opinion, again, I'm not an umpire, so normal standing position at the crease. So if it's a slow ball, which is dipped, so at the crease, it would be above the waist.
Yep.
Unless, like, obviously your release point is like, I'm like, say I'm 174 centimeters, so my release point would be 1.5 foot above my head. So looking at the trajectory, unless it's a slow ball, which probably will end up sort of hitting the stumps from a higher length.
A loop.
Yeah. So for a fast bowler, if it is hitting the stump and it is above the waist, I would be surprised, But if it is, and it's gone above the waist at the crease, it's a no ball.
It's a no ball. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So so Taz is saying it's a no ball. Make sure you pop your comments into the into the comment section, whether you're in Facebook or YouTube, and I'll remind me later, and I'll tell you what the umpire. This was a club game. This was a club game in Australia.
What happened once was I bowled a slow ball, but it was quite high.
Yep.
And then hit the stumps on the top, like over the bed, like sort of it was reasonably high and dipped on the batsman. Yep. So I mean, umpires thought it was above the waist height. So I don't know. I mean, that's like ages ago, so rules might have changed by now. But yeah. So that's what
so you actually
no ball.
So they called no ball on you because you were bowling spin. You were bowling leg spin, I'm guessing.
No, I was bowling medium pace, but change of pace. Okay. It's a slow ball.
Yep.
But it dipped. Yep. And but they thought at the crease it was way above the waist. So
it's no ball.
That's my only memory. So I might be wrong there, but
Well, we'll see. We'll see. As I said, drop what you think should have happened in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitter, and I'll let you know what the Australia club umpire, which is rather interesting because I mean, like in our games, you're only going to get umpires at Prem level, really, yeah? And maybe at reserves if you're lucky. So in Australia, they had umpires at a lower level, and I'll tell you what they called later or what happened.
Okay.
So anyway, moving on, and we're going to get into we're going to start off with a bit of Plunket Shield, and we'll do a wrap of what's happened this week in the Plunket Shield. We've had 2 games go ahead, and 1 game which was abandoned without a ball being bowled. So we'll go into the first game, which was Canterbury versus Northern Districts, and I'll just bring up the old mini board, so to speak, and there we go, the mini board coming up there. And we could see, geez, we have to question. I mean, like, And we'll come to. It's interesting because we look at Northern, who are all talking up at the beginning of the season and saying, "Hey, let's give them the trophy now," and effectively they've been rolled for just over 100 in each innings. Canterbury themselves only getting 266 in that first innings, and able to do the business, bowling out Northern twice, and in fact getting Northern to follow on as well. So, bit of a surprise there, Taz. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, look, I mean, if you look at the team, I mean, they were playing with 4 specialist batsmen, then Watling was at number 5, so say 5 specialist batsmen. On that front, they were a bit thin.
Yep.
Kaitanik Clark, relatively new guy, really good batsman. I've heard good things about him, but still very new to first-class cricket. So he's there. Jeet is playing his first few games with these new teammates. So if you look at the team, that's kind of the other side of the story, that when you have all these big names, when they're not there, it makes it difficult. Like Howard Pakuranga in club cricket in Auckland is playing Prem minors, and on a day they have a few black caps and really strong team, half the like a few Auckland players. But I think that is the other side of things. When they're not there, that leaves a huge vacuum.
Big, right.
I mean, they still have decent players there, but if you look at their team, if you look at their scorecard, you'll see Watling at 5 and their top 4 batsmen.
I'll bring up the scorecard. I'll bring up the full scorecard so we can look at the actual batting lineup, as you say. So that was Canterbury there. So I'll just roll up along. Here we go. So here is the Northern lineup. And as you say, it's Henry Cooper, who actually batted quite well in that first game for Northern against Central. But then you've got Jeet Raval with him. And then after that, you've got, as you say, Joe Carter. And but there's a Cartney Clark that's just started by the sounds of it. But the what we envisaged as a strong Northern lineup isn't there like we thought.
Yeah, I think Bharat Popley has been in their middle order for the last few years, and he's been scoring heaps of runs, but he missed out on a contract this year. So interesting. I was quite surprised. So it looks like, when the Black Caps are away or a couple of injuries here and there, they look quite thin. Bowling stock, you can see that they've got heaps of bowlers there. But if you look at even top 4 batsmen, one is a rookie, Clark. I hope he's got a bright future, anyways. But at this stage, he's a new to first class cricket. And then you're playing with Joe Carter, Henry Cooper, Jeet Raval. So, and Watling obviously. But 6 is Kerguelen. So Kerguelen on a good day is number 7.
Yep, absolutely. I was going to say 7-8. Yep.
Yeah, so they've switched the sort of bowl. Like they're playing with a few. I think they're playing with 6 regular bowlers. So I think they're thin on batting, and you can just easily see that it's just it's been well exploited by Canterbury.
Well exploited, definitely.
But if you see there's no runs from if you see 6 downwards, how many runs last 5 batsmen scored? I think that's 10 runs.
Yeah, that's it. Basically, you've got that nail on the head there, but you're Asian, so you're good at maths. So, but actually, the last 6 batsmen, 10 runs, and that was it. It's a hard ask, isn't it? Hard ask. And then when we sort of scroll back down, they get sent in again, and they did better at the old tail this time round, but still not a lot there.
No. So I think,
we really are relying on that top order to perform, aren't you? I mean, when Jeet Raval sort of it fails. I don't mean fail in a mean way, but you really do need that top 4 to sort of someone in there to go big.
Yeah, I mean, and that's early in the season, so generally it depends how they prepare the wickets, but if they're using the wicket for the first or second time, generally there is enough for the medium paces. So I don't know how much spin has contributed in this game, but looks like the medium paces had a lot more to bowl.
Yep, that's right. I mean, and you look at the Canterbury innings, I mean, 266 for a first innings score. Not bad score. You're not going to say you'll take it, but it's not exactly a competitive first innings total, is it? So you'd have to think that there was a bit something in the pitch.
Well, if you see that they've batted for 90 overs, so I guess they have they saw the second new ball, and I think the last wicket would have scored. Last two wickets would have scored about 40 runs. So
you look at Fraser's sheet, got 36 off 8,
exactly.
21
so
balls.
That's pretty much a steal. So it's kind of like those sort of tracks where if there's any help for bowlers, it's better to sort of go hard at it rather than sort of defending and getting out. Sometimes.
Yep. Well, I mean, like, let's talk about Fraser Sheet, because I'll just bring up the old mini board again. And Fraser Sheet, what a game. 36 at 171 strike rate. And then 4 wickets in the first inning, 5 wickets the second, 9 wickets for the match. We spoke about him last week. We spoke about him and Will Williams last week. These guys are on fire.
Oh, they certainly are. And to be fair, if there weren't those injuries, probably one of them wouldn't have been playing,
Yeah.
So
I mean, exactly. Matt Henry's thumb is basically allowing one of those guys to be in the squad, isn't he?
The left armour, is it Nuttall? The left armour?
Nuttall, Fred Nuttall. Yep.
Yeah, Nuttall. He's regular as well. So keeping those two out, and they still obviously have got the depth in their bowling, as you can probably see. And Will Williams took a 5 I think last game as well. So heaps of wickets for them between those two.
Well, look, we'll come back to Will Williams and Fraser Sheet a little bit later, because there's a few injury concerns with the Black Caps as well, and then all in the bowling scenario. So we'll come back to that a bit later. But as I said, these guys are firing at the moment, and they'll be. I think they'll be disappointed. There's only one round before the big break until March for the Plunket Shield, with the way that they're operating.
I mean, Will Williams have been playing for Canterbury, but Will Williams have been playing the shorter formats and has been quite successful last year. So I guess.
Right.
And one more thing, Sean Davey, he's made his debut here. He's former New Zealand under-19 player, I think. He's from Northern Districts, actually. So he's probably moved to Canterbury for education, or just moved there for work or whatever.
Well,
so he's made his debut against his home team.
Let's have a look and see. So he's a bowler, obviously, and he's not performed too badly either. I mean, like, when we look at that, so he's a fast bowler.
He's a medium pacer, yes, yeah.
He's a medium pacer, yep. 12 overs, 4 maidens, and only 19 runs. Yep. Obviously, Northern were under pressure right through that innings, so they're not taking too many risks. And then he backed that up in the second innings as well. The 8 overs there, a bit more expensive in the second innings, but again, getting that shot that he wouldn't have at Northern. Well, maybe he would have with the injuries. So again, I suppose early days. It's only 2 rounds, but Northern will be sort of a little bit concerned about how they're travelling.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be, because I think back end they might have more players available. Yeah, but right now I think it's I don't think they've got the. Yeah, it's a shame that they're playing with five genuine batsmen. They could have, like, this time of the year, the wickets can be supportive, and which means that you need the depth. You need the in the batting. So I mean, openers on these tracks would be out anytime. So you need to have the depth. Your number 6, 7 should be able to score runs. And the all-rounders, obviously, Hampton is actually not a bad batsman either, but he's a good header of the ball. I'm not too sure if he's how he goes in longer format. So, but let's see what they come up with next game. Yes,
and it's always good to see from Brett Randall, who I saw coming up as from like an age of 5, 6, 7, when from Eden Roskill, so playing for Northern. Yeah. Not having a great successful match, but still good to see progress from kids that you've seen playing at a junior level and coming through. Yeah. No, although he's not a junior anymore.
No, he's done well for himself. I mean, I think he's 24 now, but he's played a lot of one-day cricket, the 50-over format for, I think, for Northern Districts, and he's done okay. And I hope he sort of has a better season, like, towards the end. So.
Towards the end, as he gets the opportunities, as the Black Caps will be unavailable, he'll definitely get some runs, I'm guessing, on the team. Moving on to the other game that we have to talk about is Otago Wellington, and again, another pretty comprehensive game here, and this time Otago coming out on top. And a name of note here, brother of Glenn, Dale Phillips, having a great match with 65 and 83.
Yeah, look, I'm big fan of Dale. Excuse me, I'm a big fan of Dale. He was I was assistant coach for under-19s about 5 years ago, and he's amazing cricketer. I was just waiting for him to sort of break into the scene. And that's my kid. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. We've got our BBC moment. It's all good.
Yes.
It's a family show.
Yeah. So with Dale, obviously a very good fielder. Good, very good batsman. I'm glad that he's got that breakthrough. I mean, I don't know if at Auckland he would have got that opportunity because I think Otago has invested in him since last year, and he's sort of finally I think top scorer in both innings. So what else you need?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and unfortunate that obviously Otago, knowing what's happening with the weather, couldn't allow that little bit of extra time for him to sort of push on for that 100 in the second innings.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's part and parcel of the game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it is part and parcel of the game, and basically to give you the information on it, Otago saw the bad weather coming. There was a lot of bad weather in the that was forecast for the last 2 days, in fact. And so they gave what you would only consider a very generous declaration. I have real problems getting that word out, but anyway, very generous. And they got 218 for 3 declared, and they only set Wellington about just over 200 or about 250 to sort of as a target in the second innings. But with about 3 wickets required and for Otago and Wellington needing about, I think it was about 70 runs off the top of my head, the heavens opened up, and pretty much the third day, most of the rest of the third day was a bit of a washout. So they then came back on the last day, and with the hope that there would be some fine patch of weather which would allow Otago to get 3 wickets or Wellington to get 70 runs. Now, just to be to give a bit of information, Wellington did have an opportunity here. I mean, when we look at it, 70 runs, 3 wickets, you sort of think you're really just going out there and Otago trying to mop up 3 wickets. Well, Tom Blundell, who was on course to 100, was still out there in that second innings, and we'll come to his unfortunate demise as well. But yeah, he was still out there, so that's why I say they did have a chance to sort of, if he could have nursed the end, they had an opportunity to get the 70 runs. In the end, it didn't actually transpire. What happened was it about rained all day until about 5 o'clock, and they got about half an hour's playing. Otago picked up the 3 wickets, and then the rain came again. But there was half an hour long enough Otago to get the 3 wickets and to wrap up the game, and for Tom Blundell to get out in a most unusual way.
Yes, yeah, obstructing the field.
Obstructing the field. Now, it was an interesting thing. So I've learned something new just in the last 2 days. Apparently, handled ball has been taken out of the dismissals, and it's just now included under obstruction of the field.
Okay.
Yeah. So effectively, it was handled ball, but these days it's called obstructing the field. So, and I don't know if have you seen the video of it happening?
I have, yeah. I've actually saw it earlier today, yeah. So it's a strange sort of dismissal.
It was strange because he actually gets the ball. He kicks it, if I remember right. He kicks the ball, goes up, and it sort of like instinctively goes and uses his hand to bat the ball away. And he actually gives himself up, doesn't he, when he does it? He almost starts walking off the pitch as soon as he does it. Wasn't much of an appeal from Otago. He just walked off the field.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was interesting to watch that.
It wasn't very interesting to see. So there we go. So Otago wrapping that up. A bit of form. We have to also mention Hamish Rutherford, who's struggled a little bit in the earlier games. He's also picked up a 57 and a 69. So coming into a little bit of form there, or hard to gauge because Wellington's had 2 convincing losses before this against Canterbury as well.
Yeah, so, I think that the name we're missing in the scorecard is Conway. Like, and he's always been like last 2 years, almost every short scoreboard, you just see his name, like, whether it's T20 or 4-day cricket or 1-day cricket. And just he missed out on this game, and they probably lost.
Well, I mean, like, it's good that you highlight that because even in the 2 games that Wellington's played against Canterbury, and they've been beaten comprehensively in those 2 games by Canterbury. But as you say, you still had that in the mini scoreboard. You had Devon Conway with his name still there. In this game, he's obviously. I'll bring up the full scoreboard so he can missed out.
I think he had an inside edge played on in the first innings. I'm not sure how he got out in the second innings.
Okay, yep, right. So that would be out for 4 against Duffy. Obviously, that's that inside edge. Yep. And in the second innings. Not that we're picking on him. But it's caught Bold Duffy again. So you
there
might
you go.
Duffy might say he's his bunny.
Yeah. And to be fair, Duffy has actually been bowling well for last last couple of years, and
He has.
he's not like your superstar, but he's like someone who does the job. And
You'd have to say he could be another Kerry Walmsley. He's just a yard short of pace, wouldn't he? Because he gets a lot of bounce. He's a tall player that gets a lot of bounce.
yeah, he gets good wickets. You know what I mean? Like he gets the batsman out. He just figures out, and I think he can bowl a bit quicker than what normally he does. Like if you look at some of the balls, kind of got a good carry from a fuller length. So I guess he does bend his back when he needs to. But he's someone like sort of who's been consistently performing. So someone who might get a New Zealand A call up, or you never know.
No, but I mean, you're right. I mean, look, over the years, and he's still fairly young too, isn't he? I mean, he'd still be very early 20s, I'm guessing.
26, 27, 25.
Oh, is he 26? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Geez, time's getting away on me. I'm missing years. But no, he's performed consistently over the seasons, basically. So yeah.
So interesting.
Look, So moving on to the last game, which was the Auckland versus Central, and no need for a mini scoreboard there because the game was been abandoned without a ball being bowled. And I don't know, did you see any of the pictures coming out of Nelson?
No, but I was actually following it. I was refreshing New Zealand cricket website and see if there's anything happening there. But nothing. Yeah, so actually they've been calling days like the day off, like even like early afternoons. So which means that obviously there was enough rain in the morning that they can't sort of get on the pitch.
Oh, look, I mean, so I saw some pictures from both from Central District's Twitter account and Auckland's Twitter account, and all the pictures that I saw, all of them were beautiful, bright, blue, sunny days. Okay? So there's obviously been an issue with the way that the ground has drained because they had a lot of soft spots on the ground, and that's why they couldn't get the game underway.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So and I bumped into Nick Albright, who's obviously who's been on the Auckland Cricket Board and the like, and he was pitting tax a bit as well, and sort of like he has, and I don't know what's going on, but there's plenty of blue skies down there, and the cricket's not happening. So, and then I looked, and then shortly after I had that conversation with him, he mentioned I saw those pictures. It's like, yeah, absolutely beautiful days, like in terms of going to the beach looking days. And it's like, nope, the ground's got damp spots, so the game couldn't proceed. So I think there might be some questions being asked about what's going on there.
Is that
because if that's the case, Nelson? It is quite disappointing.
Was it meant to be played at Nelson?
It was at Nelson, yeah. I'm not sure whether it's Saxton Oval or not, though.
Oval, yeah, I think
I would assume it'd be Saxton Oval that it would have been played at, which obviously has been groomed as one of the minor international grounds, for want of a term, So
you get some games there,
and it'd be just I think they'll be making sure that something's done about that, so that doesn't happen again. If you're getting blue sky days and no cricket happening.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised they were calling the days off quite early in the day. Like if it's raining, you kind of wait until sort of end of the day or closer to the tea or something, but they've been calling them off early, so I guess there must be some puddles within the 30-meter circles. I'm not sure.
Within the 30-meter circle, I would guess too, or in the bowlers run-ups or something like that. Look, can't let this pass by. This is the crazy situation of the way that the you accumulate points in the Plunket Shield. So Northern Districts follows on, bowled out twice for just over 100, manages to get 4 points out of their game with Canterbury. Central and Auckland, abandoned game, both get 4 points each. Something's not right there, is it? Like a team gets absolutely handed its backside on a plate and manages to pick up 4 points.
4 points, yeah, it's a bit harsh.
And I think that's always been the problem with our Plunket Shield over here, and the fact is that we do have inclement weather. We do have games which little cricket is played, and through no fault of the two teams obviously playing, and it can really sort of derail a team's season in terms of 4-day cricket.
Yes.
by having those rained out games. You need two rained out games, and you're really battling to try and be at the top of that leaderboard, aren't you?
Yeah, but I mean, on the other hand, like they generally have groundsmen and everything, so generally the pitch is always like well looked after.
Yep.
So you won't have issues with pitch being damp or like anything like that, because they prepare the pitch way like in advance, and like they manage
absolutely.
it in a way, So and I know, like because I used to work for Northern Cricket, and their ground was sand based. So
Yes.
as soon as the rain stops, you just get on the field, So I think I guess there will be a few like sand based grounds, like Bay Oval, I think, or the Mount Maunganui. So that would be the same. So
That'd be the same.
I think Seddon Park. So there are a few grounds which, as long as it's not raining on the day, all day, they probably would get some action in. I'm not sure about I think Eden Park, Outer Oval, if it is sand based or not. But most
I
of the
know that
grounds
it used to be. It definitely used to be sand based.
Okay, so it might
I
still
remember
be, yeah.
because but I'm not sure. I mean, like it's been Eden Park. I mean, every 3-4 years gets a total revamp of the field, doesn't it? So I'm not sure what it is at the moment. I assume there's still a level of sand carpeting happening in there. So they might have to go to old central districts. Might need to go to Golden Bay and pick up some sand and drop it on Saxton Oval. Hey, look, we'll move along quickly into the Black Caps now. Not much to talk about, but I mean, not much to talk about, but lots to talk about. I mean, here's the injury list for the Black Caps. Trent Bolt's got a groin injury, so he won't be playing in the game that we'll be talking about shortly. Tim Southey has got a back injury, which not uncommon for Tim Southey to get a back injury, is it? And then we go to Neil Wagner, hip and groin injury. Matt Henry, who we've spoken about last week with the broken thumb. AJS Patel, calf. And Colin de Gronholm's got a right foot injury. And then obviously Trent Bolt's picked up his injury in the IPL. The rest of them all in local cricket. So bit of an issue there for the New Zealand selectors, with West Indies sort of coming towards us pretty quickly. December 3rd, the first game against the West Indies at Seddon Park, and that's the bowling. That's a big core of our New Zealand bowling lineup there. That's on the injured list.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, Wagner probably test, obviously.
Yep.
So that's sort of like Wagner and Ijaz Patel more on the test side.
Side.
I mean, I guess like I'm not sure if they're playing tests, but I think they're playing T20s to start with, or they might be playing 4 days. I think there's a 4-day game against West Indies, and then there is I'm not sure what order they're in. But
I'm just bringing that. I'm just keep talking, and I'll bring that up.
So you won't need Wagner until the Test cricket, whenever the Test Wagner and Ijaz, when the Test matches are. So we're safe on that front. Tim Southey, obviously you need him in the Test again more than you need in the shorter formats. Trent Bolt, you need him in all formats. So that's a bit of a worry. But I guess like if you could see the like domestic seasons so far, like 2 or 3 games, there are a lot of fast bowlers doing well. So I guess in hindsight, it's a good thing that the season is still going on in New Zealand, and the guys who are the backup are still sort of playing competitive cricket.
Yep, I hear you, and I'm just trying to. They don't make it easy to bring up the bloody schedule here. Jeez. So
I know
here we
West
go.
Indies is already here.
Right. Okay. So what it is that the 27th of November is actually the first game against the West Indies. It's the T20 at Eden Park, which will then be followed by another T20 at Bay Oval. So two T20s at Bay Oval, 29th and 30th of November, and then the first test is the 3rd of December.
Okay.
So yeah, that's when will be, as you say, the Wagner option and the AJS Patel option will be required, and possibly the Colin de Gronholm option as well. I mean, like he's been pretty much the regular in terms of that all-rounder in the middle of the batting lineup and the 3rd/4th bowling seam bowling option. So
I think there is a side 4-day game because West Indies might have come with a bigger squad, because I think while the T20s are happening, there is a 4-day or 3-day game.
Okay.
At the same time, and that is where you probably can check your strength for 4-day cricket, like the guys who are sort of taking wickets and give them a
Yeah.
chance against West Indies in that game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was sort of referring to when we were looking at the Canterbury Northern. Will Williams and Fraser Sheet. You know, the way they're going with these injuries, their names start popping up, won't they? In terms of, hey, look, if they're picking up the wickets, you've got that, as you say, you've got a warm-up game, be a great opportunity to chuck boys in that are actually.
Someone like Bracewell obviously would be ahead of them, in my opinion, anyways, because it was more experienced and sort of more experienced, and he can bat too. So like, especially if Colin de Grandhomme is not playing, then you've got like someone who can bat 7 or 8 and bat well.
It's almost a let's say Colin de Grandhomme's foot injury isn't ready for the 3rd of December. It's almost like Bracewell's a ready-made replacement for him, isn't it? To come straight
obviously Bracewell's stronger suit is his bowling.
And,
de Grandhomme is his batting, but I guess like it's not like for like replacement, but it's close enough,
Close enough, and especially I mean, like he's Bracewell timely 100 against Auckland.
Yeah,
nice. So yeah, so a few concerns, but I think there's as I said, we've just mentioned Doug Bracewell, long time ago, and I mentioned Kerry Walmsley before. Obviously, it's Kerry Jamieson.
Jamieson's been in good form, and
good form, absolutely.
He will be a starter. I would be surprised if he's not the starter for the.
No, he'll be a starter in all formats as well, won't he? Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
so.
The interesting one will be obviously Trent Boult getting back in time. Obviously, he's going to be doing. I don't know what I don't quite understand it. There's been some sort of biosecurity bubble that the IPL's been running for New Zealand players over there. I don't know how that impacts their quarantining period, which will be the 2 weeks over here. But I'm assuming that Trent Boult doesn't actually get back in time to play, even if he was fit, to play in the T20 games.
I guess like when they originally sort of announced the IPL schedule, because even with IPL, your national duty comes first, playing for New Zealand, because he's also contracted to New Zealand. So unless he had some sort of agreement with New Zealand Cricket, you would assume that he would have been coming back in time.
Okay, so if he gets on a plane, basically on the 11th of November, he will land. When he lands, he will become available a day with 1 day left for the 27th to come out of quarantining. If I've got my numbers right.
That's a close call. But I guess depends on his injury. But they might actually rest him and keep him for the next series against Pakistan, I think.
I think so. Or the fact is that you just rest him for the T20s and then bring him back for the Test match.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that Aaron is mentioning Daryl Mitchell's obviously an option as well.
That's
we missed Daryl Mitchell off the list.
Like for Colin de Grandhomme, because both are strong batsmen, and Mitchell has been actually bowling well this year. So yeah, he's kind of, I think he's like for like, that's well pointed, Aaron. It's like for like arrangement. Yeah, like for like sort of.
And as he mentioned, it's also he sort of ends the day before the game, so and it applies to both players in both teams by the sounds of it. So so that'll be interesting. Anyway, we better move on. We'll quickly go into the. I'm just going to have to bring up the Pakistan series. Hey, why can't it? Oh, it's not letting me bring it up now. So the T20 game today. That was the second one that got played. Pretty convincing win from Pakistan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't get to watch it.
Oh, come on!
Like, I think it's quite late our time, but I sort of saw the scorecard, and not enough runs by Zimbabwe. I mean, unless it's Rag Turner, you probably expect 160 and 70 to be a par score in those grounds. So again, played at Rawalpindi, and good to see Usman Khadir, because Shadab, the leg spinner, has been sort of our main sort of white ball bowler, but I think he's injured or he's rested. And Usman Khadir, that's his son of the great Abdul Khadir.
Okay.
He got an opportunity, and he obviously took 3 for it. So good on him.
Yep, and Bubba Azam carrying on some great form against Zimbabwe in the Zimbabwe Series ODIs and the T20s.
Yeah, he just like sort of, to me, like he's like very. I think he's similar to Ken Williamson in a way, that he's kind of like quite sort of technically correct and like, you know, quiet guy, and just consistently scoring runs. Like, you know, it doesn't slog, but he still score runs at a high strike rate. You know.
Yep, yep. Yeah, that's it. It's like you're right. I mean, obviously people have been watching Kane Williamson in the IPL, and he's just not a slogger. He just doesn't smash it into the stands. He doesn't. He plays cricket shots, for want of a term.
Yeah, and still scores at a good pace. You know. So,
And still, yeah, exactly. It still scores at a great pace. I mean, like, you know, it's really surprising at the times when they get a strike rate of 200. And he's saying, how did they manage that? They didn't slog the ball.
and Heather
So,
Ali, I think he's 19, 20, the Pakistan young guy. He's just
Yep.
it's probably first year playing for Pakistan senior team.
Yep.
And he's been amazing. Like since he sort of, I think he scored a 50 on debut as well against England. He's the next big thing. Well, that's what Pakistanis say. He's the next big thing in terms of Pakistan's batting. So let's see how it goes.
Yep. And it's just like for Zimbabwe, you'd have to say disappointment, really, in terms of again, they don't able to, they can't get the run rate going, can they? That's the big issue for them, really. And I think the scoreboard pressure then tells, and wickets keep falling.
Yeah, I mean, like they've got like I think Sikandar Raza missed out this series because he is a Pakistani who lives in Zimbabwe and plays for Zimbabwe, but knows
Right.
the wickets really well. But he obviously didn't fire at all because, like, I think if it's it's a used wicket, you need you can still score big runs, but you need guys who are experienced on playing used wickets in countries like Pakistan or India, where it does. And Usman Khadir took 3 wickets, obviously.
3 wickets, yep.
Yeah, so I think playing spin on those conditions and playing less dot balls, and that's where I think Zimbabwe kind of missed out.
Because as you say, I mean, like Usman Khadir, not only to get 3 wickets, but he actually went under 6 and over as well, and getting those 3 wickets. So very economical.
He's only playing his second game, so he's not like a established leg spinner. So you know, generally you target young guys who's playing first or second game that you can get 8 or 10 out of their sort of 8 or 10 run per over. So he's obviously done well, and I think I've got couple out of googly, so he's got a really good googly, so hard to read. I don't know, but I haven't seen him bowl a lot, but heard good things about him, so it's good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. So 1 game left. That'll be happening in a couple. Well, it'll be happening our time Wednesday morning, I guess. Or will it be tomorrow morning? It'll be Wednesday morning, won't it? It'll actually happen. It's 10th of November.
It's Tuesday night Pakistan
Tuesday night.
time, so it will be Wednesday morning our time. But I think just the time difference is so much that it's it's not practical.
What time are they starting? Are they actually? Is it a day nighter type, or is it a day T20?
So this one started at 3:30 Pakistan time, so that would be our 11:30.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's that's past my bedtime these days.
Yeah, I mean 8 o'clock's past my bedtime. I should be in bed now. I got to be out of the house before 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Enough of my problems. Yeah. So I suppose so. Who actually what's next up for Pakistan after Zimbabwe leaves? Is there anything in the pipeline?
They're coming.
What's it? Sorry. Oh, they're coming over here.
Yeah.
Right. So that is the next agenda. Next on the agenda is actually jumping on a plane to New Zealand and quarantining.
Yes. I think they're coming in December. So
they'll have a few weeks off.
I think they will be here when the West Indies series starts, and then they will sort of build up. I mean, obviously they will do their quarantine and everything. So
there you go. Simon's letting you know that you can watch highlights of the Pakistan Zimbabwe games on YouTube, so you can catch up with how they've been going.
Yeah, and you can actually you can watch it live on YouTube as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's for free. So Pakistan Cricket Board has a YouTube channel, and they streamed it live on YouTube, all the series.
Oh, that's fantastic!
Yeah, it's just timing of it is not right.
Yeah, 11. As you say, if you're kicking off at 11:30 at night, I mean, it's one thing if it's finishing 11:30 at night, but if it's starting at 11:30 at night, yeah,
Yes,
that's
it's too
a
late.
hard
Yeah,
watch.
yeah,
Yeah, that's when the kids are going to get more yelling at because you'll wake up grumpy in the morning. Anywho, moving on to the big match now coming up. That's like we're looking forward to the final of the IPL, and that's going to be between the Mumbai Indians and the Delhi Capitals. So the Delhi Capitals getting over the Sunrisers Hyderabad this morning in that qualifier 2 to make it into the final with the Indians. Firstly, we'll just have a look at that match, and I'll just bring up the right one. So this morning, as I said, Delhi Capitals against Sunrisers. Did you catch up with any of this match at all?
yeah. I was following it up, and
Yep.
I was obviously it was par score, like 189. Probably they scored last 2 overs. They only scored maybe I think 10 or 12 runs.
10 runs, yeah. The last,
So
I
they
think the
kind of
last run,
11 runs. I think last 2 overs they scored 11 runs or 12 runs.
yep. So they would have been disappointed with that.
I think it was a par score, so it wasn't like unattainable. It was something you can just, you can, if you bat through, you'll chase it. But I think Hyderabad obviously lost Warner early, and that didn't help,
No, they didn't. Well, they basically they were in a spot of bother, really. I mean, we've got the Hyderabad scoreboard there up, the batting scorecard up there at the moment, and I do remember they were sort of like they were losing wickets at regular intervals and didn't seem to have the momentum going really. So I think, as you said, Warner going for only 2. There was Kane Williamson started putting them back on track. And again, when we just talked about with Babar Azam, you look at Kane Williamson, his strike rate was basically 150, which is, and with pretty much minimal risk, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think but with this innings, obviously him and Holder batted together for 6 or 7 overs.
Right.
Holder obviously sort of a situation where you lost 3 wickets, you want to sort of consolidate before you sort of launch, push on. But he kind of, like when you do eat up balls, then you need to go longer. And, he unfortunately he didn't. And that kind of, I'm not costed them the game, but that kind of affected that dented their sort of chase. But one more thing I was looking into this game was, so Sunrisers Hyderabad hit 9 sixes and 12 fours. So that's 102 runs in boundaries.
Yep.
Whereas Capitals hit 16 fours and 4 sixes, so 88 runs in boundaries. So they actually hit more runs in boundaries than them. But Hyderabad played 38 dot balls.
Oh, there too many dot balls.
So 1/3, almost like 1 in 3 balls was a dot ball. And it's not going to work like that, if you're doing a big chase, the less dot balls you play, because when you're rotating the strike, it's hard for the bowler because you make adjustment every ball, different batsmen. But most importantly, sort of, like if you look at the amount of sixes they've hit, so they've hit what, 6 and 3, 9 sixes, 9. Right?
Yep.
And Capitals only hit 4 sixes, So the thing is, when you're going for big hits, the chances of dot balls go higher as well. So when you're looking for boundaries, you will play a lot more dot balls.
Right.
And that's the trade-off, But I think with Hyderabad, obviously they kind of they lost Warner early, which obviously didn't help. And that they were always catching up with the run rate and everything. So that partnership between Holder and Williamson, although it was a good partnership in terms of runs, I think that when Holder got out, kind of made it difficult.
Oh, absolutely. And as I think what things that you're alluding to in terms of Jason Holder, it's like, well, you still have to go run a ball when you're consolidating in a T20.
Well, it's sort of like it might be. He was just obviously giving a hand to Kane Williamson because obviously Kane was doing okay and he was keeping most of the strike. But the thing is, like when you have spent 7 overs on the crate in the middle, then and he's been scoring runs, so you expect him to move kick on. But unfortunately, he didn't on this occasion. Abdul Samad, the young guy from Kashmir, known for big hitting, and he did a brilliant job there. But it was just, I think, just a bit too late.
Well, I sort of, when I came into the game, I was obviously doing the report for the morning sports briefing, and it was 2 overs left, and they needed 23, and Samad and Khan were in, and it's just like, oh, here we go, game on. 23 off 2 overs is pretty much, even Stevens. It could go either way, and shortly after, Rabada comes on and picks up 3 wickets in the over, and that was pretty much game over.
Yeah. The thing is, like, like these games where I think Capitals have 2 of their fast bowlers as overseas players, and I don't know if you remember the first program we did pre.
Pre-IPL.
What I was saying was that if whoever's got good fast bowlers will probably do a better, like they will end up doing well.
Yeah.
And Rabada again came back and then sort of finished off the game.
Yes, and I mean, like, we'll have a look in a moment in terms of the top runs and top bowlers and like, and he's still up the top there. Interesting for well, it should be for Mumbai. It would be a bit of an interesting one because obviously no Bolt there now, but we'll come to that in a while. So, but yeah, so that basically at the end of that game, it meant that the Delhi Capitals were the second qualifier into the final, and as I said before, they will be playing the Mumbai Indians. We'll have a look at those 2 matchups of those 2 squads in a second, but as I said, we'll just go and have a quick look at how the leaderboards in terms of batters and bowlers is looking, and I'm already here, so we'll go for runs, and there we go. KL Rahul, almost like he started the season in that number 1 batting position, and he stayed there ever since.
Yeah.
every week we come along and we go, who's at the top, and it's KL Rahul, and interestingly enough, I mean, like, quite clear. I mean, like, it's Shikhar Dhawan's in second position, 70 runs, let's call it 70 runs, 67 runs behind KL Rahul, and played 2 more games. So yeah, quite a good series in terms of runs anyway for KL Rahul.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's been, like, last week we were looking at the scorecards and he was, tables, and he was still on top, and he's still on top. So I guess, like, he wasn't part of the qualifiers.
No.
So he's still up there. So,
still up there.
I guess, like, it's like Rohit Sharma, like, he scored all this run in the World Cup last year, and just didn't make it to the final, because he missed out on the semi-final.
It's like you're going, come on, guys, help me out here. A guy that is in the finals is Shikhar Dhawan, and we look at the top 5 there. Out of the top 5, we've got Shikhar Dhawan who will be playing for the Capitals, and Ishan Kishan and Quinton de Kock playing for the Indians. So when we look at it, also number 8 there, you got Surya Kumar Yadav there as well. So geez, a lot of firepower there for the Indians, isn't there? That are coming through.
Yeah, they've got, I guess, like with Rohit Sharma starting the innings, that's like, if you've got someone like him up there, it's just, it's a bonus for the rest of the batsmen. And it's such a big name in, like, shorter formats, Rohit Sharma. Like, I know, like, people talk a lot about Kohli, but, like, if you look at the stats of Rohit Sharma in one-day or shorter formats, he's phenomenal. Like, he will score big runs or he won't score runs, but when he does score big runs, he just takes it away from you,
And it is, look, I mean, if he scores runs or he scores no runs, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, if he's scoring runs at a fantastic strike rate. If he's not scoring runs, he's out early, and so he's not taking, like we talked about before, using up dot balls.
Yeah, and he usually doesn't eat up the balls. If he's generally he gets a start, he sort of goes big, and sometimes obviously really big. But generally, like, he's the one. If you get him out early, that's a good day for you.
And there we go. We'll just actually, I stuffed up there. I'll bring up the old screen again. Let's bring up the screen again. I didn't bring the screen up last time there. Sorry, my bad. We go to the bowlers and we bring up the screen, and we look at the top 3, and the top 3 are going to be involved in the final. Well, no, the top 3 won't be involved in the final. The top 2 will be involved in the final. Yes. You got Rabada going up against Bumrah. But unfortunately, Trent Boult, as we mentioned, looks like he'll be out with that groin strain injury. So, but looking at it's going to be fantastic seeing Bumrah and Rabada go at it in that final.
Yeah, and number 7, if you see Henrik, is it Norche?
Norche, yep.
Norche, yeah. So and I think he bowls 150 plus, you know.
Yes.
So he bowls heat. So it will be interesting, sort of. And Bumrah is amazing, as we know. Like he's done it again and again. If you look at the strike rates, economy rates, so Bumrah is under 7, which Rabada is over 8.
Yep.
So I mean, Bumrah obviously economical, but at the same time has a good strike rate. So
Well, he's played 2 less games than Rabada, and he's only 2 wickets behind. And we know how many multiples of like we look at Rabada today's game. He picked up 4, so Rabada usually picks up his wickets in clumps as well. So
yes.
you'd have to say, Bumrah's been travelling pretty well, and probably the form bowler in the competition.
He certainly is, and it's just like it's just so consistent, you know. It's not like I haven't seen him having a real bad day. Like, you know, sometimes guys go for 4 overs for 50 odd or 60 runs. On a bad day, we'll probably go in like 30s, and on a good day, it's like around 20s, you know, or in 20s. So he's been sort of so consistent, and big games. So obviously, people are looking up to him and see how he goes.
That's it. So we'll look forward to that clash in terms of the final, and we've got most wickets. So we're just going to look at the bowling economy, which we've been doing as well. And at the top of the list there, Rashid Khan, Mohammad Nabi for the Sunrisers, Washington Sundar for the Kings 11. Interestingly enough, when we look at that economy rate, the players for the teams that are at the top there haven't actually made an impact. I mean, apart from sort of Nabi and Khan for the Sunrisers, hasn't really paid dividends having an economy rate. It's really about wickets, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously Nabi only played 1 game, so I'm not sure, like, he's injured or he just missed out because they had overseas players who were batsmen. But I mean, Rashid Khan again, like, you know, 5.37, like, in 16 games.
That's insane.
That's phenomenal, like, you know. That's just unreal. So I mean, you generally see like the spin bowlers have, in those conditions, the spin bowlers have better economy rates because there's not a lot of pace to work with. And whereas the fast bowlers, like, you know, kind of, fast bowlers around 7 and 8 is still quite.
So going on to so we make it to the final, and these are the teams going up again. We've got the Delhi Capitals. Basically, I suppose when we look at it, it's in terms of the batting side of things, you've got right there the first man there, the captain, Suresh Iyer. They're going to be looking at him to really, and Shikhar Dhawan, obviously, those guys getting the team rolling and getting those runs for them.
Sorry, I've just got frozen and back now.
Oh, you got frozen. Oh, yeah. No, we're just going on to the. Yeah, I thought it went a bit quiet there for a bit. No, just going on to the teams itself, and who are we looking to stand up in the final? Who's going to put their hand up for the Capitals and say, "I'm going to win it for the team"?
Oh, sheesh, they've got a few. Yeah, it depends. Especially with overseas, it depends who they choose to pick. Obviously, Stoinis has been in form, and he's been like last 12 months. He's been playing good cricket all, you know, wherever he played. So he's and he was man of the match in the last game. And then they've got, like, if you look at the names, you see so many big names in there. Not big, but like familiar names in there.
Familiar names.
Yeah, you sort of. I mean, Shikhar Dhawan again, like, you know, had a good game last game. I would say, like, you know, it depends who they pick as their overseas players would probably make the difference, because the young leagues, the Nepalese league spinner Sandeep, he hasn't played off recently, anyways. Very good leg spinner. And then you've got Rabada, and then you've got the other fast bowler. Where is he? Yeah. So that's Norche. Yeah. So you've got these 2 fast bowlers, Alex Carey. So they've got a very good mix. I don't know. It must be hard for them to pick a team they need for the big game.
It's going to be interesting. All right, and then we come to the really the team that's had so many people performing for it. Really, I mean, everybody that comes in seems that. I mean, I clicked on the screen, and the first name that sort of my eyes went to was actually Mitch Mclennan, he's played a handful of games, but every time he played for them, he performed. So if he's not getting into the side, then you got to say the other guys really are standing up, aren't they? And whoever's coming in is standing up.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously he's someone who bowls a heavy ball and just sort of he puts a lot of effort in while he's bowling, and he has been successful for Mumbai over the years. But I mean, I guess like they've got like say someone like Kieran Pollard as an overseas player, and they've got Quinton de Kock. Bolty was so Trent Bolt was playing. So I think like with Bumrah, he probably needs some support with other pacers. I'm not sure who they will pick. In past they're kind of mixing and matching, but they've got like good all rounders. So if a fast bowler or a spinner doesn't have a good day, Pollard can chip in a few overs. Pandya can obviously always bowl 2 or 3 or maybe 4 overs. So they've got advantage of having those all rounders in the mix.
You'd have to say that. I mean, like for my mind, this is like the Indians definitely go into this as quite big favourites.
Yeah, I mean, but again, like if you look at the 2 fast bowlers for Capitals, it's like, as I said, like in Middle East, like from my experience with watching the PSL and stuff, fast bowlers can just change the game, and like they've got 2 strike bowlers as overseas players, whereas Mumbai's got Bumrah, but rest of them are like good support bowlers, but you can't say they're the same. So
no. Especially with no Bolt there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how sort of it goes. But without Bolt, it will be interesting how they go.
I'm just sort of thinking though. I mean, like you have like they're gonna go with de Kock at the top they have been, they not all the time, but most of the time they've been going with de Kock at the top. And then, as we mentioned, we've got Sharma there as well, and then but Ishan Kishan, and then it's just the fact that then you sort of think you might go, oh yay, we might have knocked the top off them, and down in the middle comes Kieran Pollard.
Yeah, and Pandya afterwards, So they've got, so they've got players who can score quick in the first 6 overs, and they have players who can score
even quicker,
and the last 6 overs. So basically, sort of first 6 and last 6 overs, they can easily get 120 runs, and it depends how many runs they get between 6 and 14. So it's another 8 overs. So I mean, they've got what it takes to score 200 on a good day.
One thing I've sort of looked at, I mean, this is not just IPL, this is T20 generally. I sort of think if you've got wickets in hand, 100 off the last 7 overs is not an unachievable target. Obviously, it comes down to pitch conditions as well. But to my mind, it seems to be more of a target these days. Is like, it's not about getting 100 in the last 10. It's about getting 100 in the last 7.
Yeah, it depends. It depends upon the opposition, though. Like sometimes, say if they've got out of last 7 overs, if Bumrah got 2 overs, you would be pushing your luck, to score 100 off last. Similarly, Rabada, yesterday came and just finished it off. So I guess like you've got those strike, like the very very best of the bowlers there. If they've got like 2 overs in the last 6, you probably take those 2 overs out because they will be bowling at maximum 7 or 8. Those 2 overs and. But I mean, it really depends, like, who you're playing. So if you're playing against Mumbai and Bumrah has only bowled 2 overs up front, then he's got 2 overs at the back end, Whereas, like, if you've got not so experienced bowlers or not your very best bowlers bowling at the death, it could be 100 runs of 7 overs, as you said.
Yep, that's it. And you just never know who's going to go for maybe an over of 20 or 30. And then one of the things we'll look at next week when we review the IPL a little bit is that we'll have a look at the top overs in terms of the most runs by a batsman off 1 over, which was interesting. I actually came across it accidentally today. So I thought, that'd be a good one for next week's show in terms of looking at who got what runs off what over. And there were overs of 30 and 26 and 28. So one of those overs, an over like that, can change the course of a match.
It certainly does. Like I think, like even in this game, I think 2 separate overs from Holder went close to 2018 or something, like big overs, and they just changed the sort of
momentum in the course of the game.
And especially if it's your one of your main players. if he goes
Yeah,
for runs.
yeah, the guys
Because
that
he's
you're
not,
relying
like,
on.
Holder is not like internationally known for like a T20 specialist bowler, but he has been bowling well. But this
Yep.
game, he kind of went for runs, you know.
Yep, the one that came along in the pressure times,
Yeah.
So let's put you on the spot. Who's your pick for the 2020 IPL final? Who are you picking to go through and
Oh,
hold the
I would
trophy aloft?
say the team batting first.
The team batting first.
Yeah.
Basically put the runs on the board, scoreboard pressure.
Yeah, and I think like if depends, but most likely they'll be using a used wicket. I mean, they've been playing for so long. I can't see having fresh wicket for the final, so it will be a used wicket.
Yep.
Any runs on the board, even 160 could have been a defendable total.
Well,
and like
especially
there's always pressure for chase.
yeah, that's what I was going
And
to say.
you know,
Especially in a final,
yeah,
the pressure for chase in the final is huge, isn't it? I mean, like
yeah,
if you're batting first, you could actually go for 2 or 3 runs and for one or two overs, and just say that okay, it's the final. We'll just see ourselves in for the first 1 or 2 overs, and then basically just build from there. But if you're batting second and you know you got to chase a total, you basically got to go from the start. You haven't got a chance to sort of take it easy. You've got that pressure starting right from ball one.
yes, yeah. I 100% agree. And like even this game with Hyderabad and Delhi, as I said, like Hyderabad hit more boundaries, like and but still, like you kind of when you're chasing a big total, you start looking for those boundaries, but in
Yep.
between you end up playing a lot more dot balls. So it's like, I mean, these guys are professionals; they know what they do. But generally speaking, like chasing on those tracks on a used wicket, anything even above 160 would be interesting chase.
It'll be yeah. Well, we look forward to that, and we'll be able to discuss that game in next week's show and see who won it, where they won it, and how they won it, and yeah, and look at also some of the stats that came out of the 2020 IPL that has been played in the UAE. And let's not forget that it actually won't be that long until the next IPL starts as well, because I believe it's going to be starting on its normal scheduled date or time frame for the year. And it'll just be a question of whether it'll be played in the UAE or back in India.
Yeah, that's April, May, isn't it? That's when they
Yeah,
play
something like
IPL.
that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's definitely back to its normal time slot, so to speak. Now, coming back to something I posed earlier in the show, right back at the start, and it was the case of the medium pacer who bowls and the ball travels above hip height and lands basically on the top of the stumps. And basically, what happened in that match was pretty much what happened to Taz in his moment when he had it, is that the umpire called it a no ball. So, yep, it came through. It was above hip height, so it was no ball. And just on a light note, we obviously at junior levels, when we've got sort of 9-year-olds playing, we get sort of balls that come through at head high. And we had that happen in it.
Especially the spinners, eh?
Well, these are actually just the guys just trying to get the ball down the other end. The kids that were playing last week, but we had sort of a very similar situation, and the fact that one of the boys in my son's team bowled it, and it was around the batsman's head. He actually ramped it, not intentionally, to be honest. He ramped it, and the wicketkeeper caught the ball. But we decided to call it a no ball.
That's fair play.
That's fair. I was like, I think the batsman was just trying to avoid getting hit in the head by the ball, and he managed to ramp it. So, what was this like? Oh, Aaron's just asking about the big match in club cricket this weekend, QMU versus Cornwall. What's happening this weekend? You're going to be out there on the field this weekend?
No, I actually filled in last week for
Last
Taran.
week, yep.
I think he's back, so we can only afford to have one old guy in the team. So
that could be
back. He's back playing against AD. AD will be playing.
Yeah, I was going to
against AD as well.
say, yeah, but so shouldn't you be playing too? So you can, we can get all of the swinging from the hips guests on the field, and
No, I will be there, but I won't be playing. Yeah, I might play day two if Taran is away, but if he's available, he will play both days.
Actually, I'll ask you a favor. If you could get Taran and Adrian shoot a little video and just put it up on our Facebook page.
Oh, we can give it a go. I'll ask.
Give it a go. Yeah. See what happens. Yeah, you just put it on the swinging from the hips page, and we'll get Taran and Adrian giving a bit of banter and sledging each other a little bit. Hey, look, thanks for Taz for coming again on the show. Really appreciate it. Try one of the regulars that I can get to rely on. And thanks for everybody out there in the interweb world for tuning in and watching and listening to our banter and discussion around what's been Plunket Shield and IPL and the Pakistan Zimbabwe series as well. So thanks everybody for tuning in and listening. And if you're listening to this recorded on your podcast, make sure that you go and share it. Really appreciate if you share it. That's how we get our name out there and the show going wide and far. So thanks once again to everybody out there, and we'll sort of be putting on the shows again. You've got the sports briefing, morning sports briefing every day at 7 o'clock. That's Paul there. Unfortunately, I won't be there again tomorrow because I've got a 7 o'clock meeting. Yay, 7 o'clock meeting. We've got, I'm not sure what's happening with the league. Now, we've got the State of Origin happening, so I'm guessing there'll be league show on the Wednesday night, back to the Wednesday night there. And obviously, we're coming to the end of the rugby season for MITRE 10. So we've got reviews and previews happening for that, and a really interesting end of the season for the rugby season coming up, with basically everybody in the Premiership still able to get into the quarterfinals there. But so make sure you stay tuned right here to New Zealand Sport Radio, and we'll see you back here next Monday night at 8 p.m. on Swinging from the Hip for your cricketing fix. And we'll see you then. Thank you.